There's one. Get up in here, little fella. Get on up in here. All right. Easy now. Easy. There we go. Number one. I can get my hook. Nice little old bass. Little large mouth. I want to show you guys what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Today I'm fishing in one of my favorite farm ponds. A lot of people don't like farm ponds. A lot of us grew up fishing farm ponds. They're still fun. They'll always be fun. What I'm doing, if I can find my little weight, is this pond, like so many other ponds over the years, has silted in and has got an extremely soft bottom. Anytime you've got a soft bottom, you don't want a bait that's going to go down like a deep diving crankbait, bury up in the mud. Your soft plastics. I'm Texas rigging this lizard. It's just a regular old green or watermelon lizard. But I've got a tiny little 1/16 ounce weight, just enough to get it out there. Don't want a weight that's going to drag it down or make big tracks in the mud as I bounce it through. I just want it to go down. The smallest weight you can get away with, if you can throw a lizard on a big hook that will take it on down on a soft bottom, man, that's the way to go. There's no interference with the weight, anything like that. It just looks more natural. But most of the time we can't fish a weightless bait. Sometimes, like today, the wind is just every now and then there'll be a little wind. But normally you got wind to deal with, and a weightless soft plastic will just blow all over everywhere. You don't know when you got a bite. So you got to use a little weight. Get it down there where you want it. And the lightest weight you can get away with on a soft, silty, sandy, muddy bottom like this, the better. Hey, there's another bite. While we're talking, oh, he came off. Man, he was running too. Got me a few leaves back. But any other kind of bait that you can keep, a lot of smaller baits work in ponds. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be a pond, but anywhere, a lake, river, they all have sections that's going to have a mud bottom that'll be soft, where rain is, where it washes in silt from a farm, or anything of that nature, a natural wash that may be silt. If you can keep that thing from digging down in the mud, a lot of times you're so much better off. You get a lot more bites. I think I got another one. There's one. A little bigger, a little bigger. I like getting bites. Bites make my day. and keeping it up out of that mud is a way to up your ratio of bites. They can find it better, they can see it better. Now that don't mean fish won't get a crawfish out of the mud, but if you know anything much about crawfish, they like to hang in rocks more. They're on a harder bottom usually. Easy. So they seem to be picking up. I've already been here 25-30 minutes, and those two were really my first good bites. Another good bait for ponds is one of my all-time favorites, is a simple spinner bait. And it can be as big as up to your big, regular conventional bass spinner baits, 3/8, half ounce, ounce, whatever you want to throw. As long as you can keep it off that bottom if they're hitting it fast. A lot of people won't throw a bigger bait in a pond. Those bigger fish will smash a bigger bait in a pond. Don't never let that fool you. Little shallow diving crankbaits that only maybe wake the surface or go down a foot or so. Excellent baits for skimming over mud, mud flats, soft bottom, something like that. You don't want them. There's another bite. You don't want it down there digging and coming back with a wad of green every single time you throw. But if you can keep your bait in that water column, that off that bottom, you're gonna get some bites, and sometimes you're gonna get fish of a lifetime that other people have missed in some of these places. I know that to be a fact. I think my personal best so far, and I say that with a lot of confidence because I'm gonna bust that. I know I will. Next 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna beat my personal best. Was it 9 pound or a 9.2 largemouth in a farm pond? And the areas that I've been fishing over the last year or so, I can beat that. I know I can. But no one else had caught a fish out of that particular body of water that size. I was throwing a big bait that day, but I had a big bait that did not go and bury up in the mud. So I believe that had a lot to do with it. Man, this is so much fun when you can get out and relax, and this is about as old school as it gets, is getting in a farm pond, relaxing and fishing and getting bites. You can spend all day sometimes out on our main area lakes and not get bites, but ponds are great. They are excellent. There's one. Oh man, he came off. Ponds are an excellent place to learn new baits. Learn how to cast them. Learn your rod and reel. Know what line test throws best on your reel. Just all kinds of good things can happen fishing at a pond. You've got, you don't have to worry about the crowds. It's laid back. It's fun. It's the way millions of us grew up learning to fish. And some of this new generation now, they won't understand. They think, oh, anybody can catch a fish in a pond. Not necessarily. I've seen days that I've gone and just as finicky as lake bass. If they're not biting, they're not biting. But pond fishing is good, and your tackle and your techniques only make it better. Keeping that bait out of the muck and some ponds are clean bottoms. Some are naturally just algae covered, and every time you throw out with something, it comes back green, a big glob. Those are the ones. Try you some Topwater. An old school baits in a pond work just as good as anything brand new on the market today. Oh, hula poppers, the little fly rod hula poppers. Oh man, they're eating this lizard up, and I'm missing them while I'm talking. But Topwater, a floating worm, a hula popper, a jitterbug. Doesn't have to be at night. People associate a jitterbug with at night. I've caught bass in the middle of the day on a jitterbug in a pond. These are old school baits. A simple Texas rig plastic worm, lizard, plastic crawfish. Excellent ways to get bites. Also, teaching kids how to fish. If you've got access to a farm pond, you can get out there and work with those kids without a lot of distractions. Nature itself is going to be enough distractions for kids. You got grasshoppers and snakes and turtles and dragonflies and all kinds of stuff to see besides just the fishing. So it's an experience in itself, and it's one that they'll take to it, and it'll become a lifelong passion. I don't do a lot of live baiting anymore myself, but it is a tremendous way to teach kids, you know, just a float and a hook with a red wiggler on it. The way my grandfather taught me many years ago will get into their bloodstream, and just, man, they'll want to go back. A tube of crickets and a basket full of brim, man, they're hooked for life. Not only that, that's good eating for supper. There's one. Oh, man, he's cutting up. Oh, I flipped my bail. He's trying to get off. He don't want to come in here and hang out with us. Come here, buddy. Gotcha. Gotcha. Get on up. Get on up here. Eating the little old lizard up today. Check him out. A little bit bigger. A little more horsepower to him. Get him back. That fish was up around some brush. Some of these older ponds you get to, fish, if it's got lay down trees or brush, never forget to get around and fish all around that brush. If you're brim fishing, I see people do this all the time in some of the most beautiful ponds. They go fish the cleaned out places and throw way out in the lake or the pond and sit there all day. Well, they're not biting. And fish that one spot and then they're done. Man, you got to get where the fish are to catch them. Brush piles, trees in the water, overhanging bushes. These are natural fish habitat, natural attractions. And it's like a magnet. They get in there because bugs will be in those things. It's cover, the little fish hide, the big fish eat the little fish, so they all get in there as a big group. And it's just how it works. If you sit in one same spot on the pond dam, for instance, so many ponds have a big, nice, cleared off pond dam. That's where everybody wants to go and put a chair and sit. And that's great. It's comfortable, it's relaxing, but it's not always the most productive place to go fish, because there's usually not any cover or structure off of that dam. Now the water might be a little cooler because it's deeper, but bass and brim both love to get around cover. It's an ambush point so they can catch a meal, and you got to use that. That's why you see bass fishermen running all over the lake looking for the best cover or structure to fish. They don't, finding those sweet spots in a pond is just like finding a big stump row out in the lake that nobody knows about. Which these days, it's hard to hide if you're a stump. With the electronics that are being built today, we can find anything on the bottom. Boats, trucks, cars. It'll show you what's down there now. There went one. Cutting up. He grabbed it on the fly too. Get up here. On the fly. hook. How about that? A little largemouth. Eating lizards. What wouldn't do to be a lizard that lived around here? They've been getting after them today. Getting after them. Just about get all I can get out of this lizard too. I've hooked him all kinds of different directions. I'm gonna give him one more try though before I put me something else on. Got him. There we go. There we go. Get up here, big boy. Get on up here. Get on up here. Oh my goodness. Hard to resist the old frog, ain't it there, Mr. Bass? Boy, he eat that thing up. Eat it up. Let's see if I can get it out without too much. Goodness. Choked it down, boy. All right. My first frog bite. The frog, a hula popper, a floating worm, other excellent, excellent baits. For any time you got a soft mud bottom and you don't want it down, go Topwater. All right, buddy. Back you go. Anything you can keep off the bottom. And just a simple little old frog. The only thing I've done to this frog, it had legs about twice as long. And I cut the legs off a little bit. Now he spun my bait around to where my hooks are backwards, but there we go. Right back like it's supposed to be. It's not a real big frog. It's a little smaller. But man, Topwater is hard to beat. But mud bottoms, silt bottoms, soft bottoms, moss covered bottoms, can't stress enough, keep it out of the junk on the bottom. You will get more bites. If they will hit Topwater, throw Topwater. If they don't want Topwater, I just kind of go work my way down. A lot of times I started with a worm today. I had a worm tied on. I don't have my crankbait box with me today. I went light. I only brought a few things. But when you've got soft plastics or a crankbait that will skim under the surface, wallow along, or maybe a foot deep that'll have a wide wobble, those are excellent pond baits that are soft bottoms. Now there are some ponds that have a hard rock bottom. You can fish those a lot different. But these that I fish a lot have silted in over the years. Man, anytime you can take advantage of shallow water, fish, especially in the spring, they're gonna stay shallow. You're gonna have some shallow fish all the way up. Some bass are gonna stay shallow regardless. Everybody thinks all the bass run deep when it gets hot. It's not necessarily the case. Some bass are resident shallow water fish. If they stay there all year, they may go, deep water to them may be going as far out as 8 or 9 feet deep off a little ledge or in a deep hole. Some bass may run 40 feet deep. But each body of water is a little different, and take the time to learn the area you're fishing. Take the time to learn what kind of bottom composition is there, what vegetation around the banks. You'll have certain grass that will be productive, and then the next patch of grass might be a different type of grass, won't be. Learning all this little stuff will get you more bites. You know, over the course of time, you'll begin to realize, hey, I like this kind of grass in the spring and this kind of grass later as fall gets here, and remember all that stuff. Make mental notes. I keep hearing fish. They're distracting me from what I'm trying to say. I don't know where I'm hearing them. They're out of my line of sight. Guys, it's time for me to get up on out of here. It's been a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Weatherman kind of messed me up. He was a little bit off, said it was going to storm all day. It hadn't started here in Coleman yet, so anyway, weatherman will be weatherman. Just to kind of recap what we went over today, and soft bottom ponds, rivers, lakes, streams, wherever there's a lot of moss or mud, you just want to stay out of it if you can. Find a way to fish a bait that won't get marred up in the mud. The more chances a bass has to see, or a brim or a crappie or anything else you're fishing for, you can get it up where they can find it. Top water in a pond is always going to be a lot of fun. Well, I say that, but it can be a blast. You can catch some of the biggest fish in a local farm pond on top water. Jitterbug, the old jitterbug, hula popper, even a baby spook, a baby zero spook works sometimes if you get the right conditions in a farm pond. That's usually better when you've got shad, but I have caught fish on zero spook in a pond. Any kind of plastic, a floating worm or a lizard, a tube bait, anything like that you can fish with either no weight or very lightweight. If it's a mud bottom, if you're fishing in the moss and the scum, I just try to avoid the bottom altogether and fish something in the top of the water column. If it's just a mud bottom or silt bottom, a really lightweight or no weight at all, unless there's a lot of wind, can get you a tremendous amount of bites. Just because it's a soft muddy bottom doesn't mean you're not going to catch a fish. But man, that works anywhere you go, whether you're on a big lake all the way down to the smallest pond. Anytime you can get a bite, hey, it's all good. But storms are finally coming. I can hear thunder back to the west rumbling finally. I know I'm going to get wet if I stay too long and get blown all around, and I'd rather avoid that. I've had a blast. Only been out here a couple of hours. Caught a lot of fish. Caught a lot. I caught some I didn't even turn the camera on. On the worm, the lizard turned out to be better than I had a curly tail worm on to start with. The lizard shined over that. Farm ponds are good for worms, or lizards are good for farm ponds, is what I meant to say. sometimes I get ahead of myself. But anyway, the frog bite was really cool. I caught some off camera, I caught some on camera. I hope I got some of them blowing up on it. That'll be awesome to see. Anyway, it has been fun. I'm glad you guys joined me. I'm gonna do a lot of stuff this summer out of the norm for me. I'm usually bass fishing, but I'm getting a lot of requests for other kinds of fishing. I'm realizing my audience out there, you guys that comment so much, and some of the comments that I've got this week have really just been humbling. You guys are appreciated so much, and wow, sometimes I don't know what to say. The things that are said that just really take me back and remind me of why I do this. Thank you so much for being there. If any of you guys are watching and aren't subscribers, I would love to have you join the channel, be part of the family. Hit the notification bell, let you know every time I put something new up. And hey, we'll see you next time. It's been a blast. I'm gonna get out here before it storms. Welcome to Simply Fishing. It's been fun. I hope to see you guys again. If you like it, hit the like button. If you really like it, share it with your friends. And we'll see you next time.